that really matters. For me, first and foremost, it's being surrounded by the people I love, my family, my friends. It's sharing the simple pleasures of life with them and having unforgettable adventures. It's feeling small and humbled within nature's incredible beauty. What really matters is being able to travel again, thinking outside the box and meeting real people. It's taking time to savor the present moment. It's feeling the magic of centuries past and passing it on to my children, filling up on inspiration for tomorrow. What really matters to you?
Hello, bonjour, hello everyone. Look at me. Today I am welcoming you from Paris, from France. I'm welcoming you to our new episode of French Heritage Series. So this is our season's finale of our lives. We are here in Paris, and this is an exceptional episode that we've collaborated with the cultural services of the French Embassy in the US. We've collaborated with the Centre des Monuments Nationaux, which is the cultural operator in France here, and Explore France Live as well. Thank you so much. We are here welcoming you at the Panthéon. Look at this place. I cannot believe that I am finally hosting you all here. So before we get started, because we have an incredible program for you today, where is everyone tuning in from? Let me see if we have some of our good friends from the United States, from the UK. Let's see. I can see all of you here on my screen. Hi, Sharon. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in, Sharon. Hello. And you're tuning in from Omaha. Beautiful. This is wonderful. I'm glad that you are able to join us here. Thank you. Thank you. This is going to be a wonderful program. Thank you. Oh, this is so great. So let's see, anyone else? Oh, Cinnamon. Well, I hope you join me next time, Cinnamon. I am so excited to be finally here and presenting you our live from the Panthéon. And we are going to be talking about something really dear to my heart and to you too, all of you living in the US, Madame Josephine Baker, or Josephine Baker, as we say in France. I love her. So, but just, I'm Tiana. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. I forgot to introduce myself. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us again. This is such a special time. It's really cold here in Paris. This is 0 degrees, but I'll do anything to make sure this happens. And I would like to also share with you that we have a special guest today. We're going to be introduced by David Madec, who is the administrator of the Panthéon. Today, he will present us a brief history of the Panthéon and what makes this grandiose building the place it is today. He will also talk a little bit about Josephine Baker and what led her to be the first Black African-American woman admitted to the Panthéon. We will then meet with a lecturer, a fabulous lecturer. You are going to love this tour. She's going to take us, and she's a true expert of art history, Paloma Moine. And then we will discuss with Brian Bouillon-Baker, who is Josephine's son, and we will learn all about Josephine and her life. And Brian is going to share his sentiment about all of this. So without further ado, let us join David Madec.
Bonjour, je suis David Madec, administrateur du Panthéon au Centre des Monuments Nationaux. Bienvenue au Panthéon. Ce monument, construit pour être une église, selon la volonté de Louis XV, devient dès la Révolution le temple des grands hommes. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire, temple des grands hommes? C'est vraiment cette idée de panthéon, de grandes références historiques qui peuvent éclairer la pensée. C'est un monument qui suit toutes les strates de l'histoire du XIXe siècle. Vous apercevez derrière moi une Marianne et un Christ. C'est vraiment la stratification historique de ce qu'est ce monument, tantôt église, tantôt panthéon. Il redevient panthéon pour la dernière fois à la mort de Victor Hugo et le restera définitivement. Et c'est ce lieu qui est le symbole des valeurs de la République. Nous sommes ici devant la maquette du Panthéon qui présente à l'échelle réduite ce qu'est l'architecture de ce monument. C'est une maquette extrêmement importante, elle était sur le chantier et à la place où je me tiens se tenait le loto qui a permis de financer cette maquette. Ce bâtiment est un trait de génie architectural, un temple grec à l'extérieur, une église classique à l'intérieur, mais la structure est gothique. Pour porter cette immense colonnade, un tambour à double colonnade et 3 coupoles surmontées d'un lanternon, il a fallu tout un génie gothique pour construire ça. Et cette architecture, construite pour être une église, devient le modèle de la démocratie avec le Capitole à Washington. Le Panthéon est désormais le temple des grands hommes, le temple des valeurs de la République. La dernière personnalité à entrer au Panthéon est née aux États-Unis, c'est Josephine Baker. La cérémonie a eu lieu il y a quelques jours, un moment de très grande intensité où on retrace tout à la fois sa vie, ses engagements. Et c'est un moment très fort parce que c'est sur décision du président de la République que les personnalités peuvent entrer au Panthéon et c'est un symbole de ce que la République veut pour la France d'aujourd'hui et de demain.
Wonderful, isn't this wonderful? Thank you so much, David, for sharing your introduction with us. And now we are joined by Paloma Moine, who is our lecturer today. She's an expert in art, France's art history, and we're so thankful that she is available to take us around the Panthéon today. Bonjour, Paloma. How are you?
Tiana. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for having us today. We're so excited to discover this place. I think, since Josephine's entry, I think the Panthéon has, known, how can I say, a rebirth. I can see so many people. The line is huge there. So tell us all about everything. Where are we here?
Perfectly. Well, first, I think that it starts outside the Panthéon. We are in the square, which was already thought by the architect in the beginning, in the first plans. So it's not only about this building, but also this mount where we are, which is Montagne Sainte-Genevieve, and an architect, Soufflot, who decided that he was going to transform this whole area by adding the square, but also 2 different buildings on the side. One would be a school of law. It exists. And in the other side, never happened, but a school of theology. And now is the city hall of the 5th district, where we are. But also this street just in front that leads to the gardens of Luxembourg and the palace.
Yes, this is a really beautiful place, and I have to say that this area is really dear to my heart. I went to school. I went to La Sorbonne, right behind here. So it's 2 blocks away from here, right?
Yes, just down the street, actually.
Yeah. So I would walk from the train all the way here every day. So it's a special moment. So great. So now looking at the building. This is really a grandiose building. I don't know what you think about it. Tell me what you think about this building, but this is my opinion. I'm really impressed. When was it built? How was it all thought of?
So there was first a church, a previous church here, coming from the 5th century, dedicated to Sainte-Genevieve, except that it was a little bit old, and we are now with Louis XV, who really is feeling sick, so he's praying a lot. and he promises that he's going to rebuild that church if he recovers, and he does. So he decides to build this new church, an amazing church that is inspired from everything that he has seen around in London, in Rome, in all Italy during his trips. So he gets inspired into the antiquity, into our French style, the Gothic style, the one from just a few other blocks down in Notre Dame, to make this as the church dedicated to Sainte-Genevieve starting in 1755.
And I have to admit, I think that he really exceeded his ambition, because this is a really phenomenal building.
Yes, probably his greatest monument.
It is. So let's look at the parts, some other part of the architecture, if you'd like.
Sure. Well, at first you can see that here there's an extension in the front with 22 columns that were not in the original plan, were added by the same architect just to make the plan on the ground a little bit less square, because we are in a square of 100 meters by 100 meters, and this is a Greek cross, doesn't really fit with the Catholic Church.
Right.
So that's first the thing that we see from the outside. But then if we go a little bit to the side, you're going to see other modifications.
All right.
Should we go?
Let's go. Yeah. So are you ready to follow us? So you were talking about the columns. You said 22. Are there 22 outside or
Yes.
or in total?
Only outside 22 columns. And then inside 42 more, which leads us to a great forest of columns.
Wonderful. It is. And when you're saying 100 meter by 100 meters, I think we're talking about around 320 square meters. This is really large. I'm thinking in terms of blocks, New York blocks. I think that's about maybe 3-4 blocks. This is it one of the largest monuments of Paris?
It's one of the highest, first, because we are really at the top of the left bank. And this, if you look at the cupola just on top of the dome, it goes up to 82 meters. So on top of this mountain, you have to add this. And here, in the wall, you can see that a few stones are lighter.
Right.
If you compare them to the others.
Yes.
And that's because there were windows before. So that was another major transformation, but coming from after the architect Soufflot.
Right. So talking about Soufflot, has he been able to see his masterpiece come alive?
No. Unfortunately, he died 10 years before it was finished, because this was completed in 1790.
1790. Oh,
yes.
So this is incredible. But no, I think truly he exceeded the expectations of the king, and I guess his own ambition too.
Probably. He had a very good student, Rondelet, who is the one who made the model that you have seen just previously in the videos.
Right.
Who completed his work.
Wonderful. All right. So should we head inside?
Sure.
Fantastic. So now we're heading to the Paris style, right?
Exactly. Which is this previous part to the big church.
I hope you guys come visit, because this is really impressive. You feel so humbled by the size of just this entrance. This is incredible.
Look at the size of the columns. It's almost 2 meters wide.
It is so large.
Okay.
Look at those doors. Thank you. This is it. We are now inside the Pantheon, and I am just speechless here.
This doesn't look like a church. It has changed a lot, but it doesn't really look like any other monument, really. And we were just talking before starting also about how, for us Parisians, it's also kind of a mysterious place. Many of us never come here inside. It looks kind of close from the outside, and when you enter, the feeling is very different. You still have some brightness coming from the dome.
It does.
Even if all of the different openings to the outside were shut down.
It does. And actually now I can see the influence from, the St. Peter's in Rome or
St. Paul in London, the same, but also this mix in between what is a Greek antiquity with the harmony, with this idea of having everything thought and equilibrated, balanced, but also our Gothic style with all of the different arches.
It does. I really like those. So when a visitor comes for the first time, what do you recommend? There's so many things to look at. What should we be focusing on or highlighting?
Sure. I like starting with the paintings. We should go just here on the side.
All right. So, my friends, don't hesitate. If you have questions, I will continue looking at your comments. So if you have any questions, let us know, and we'll ask Paloma any of your questions. So where are we now?
One of the first paintings here, because all of the different walls are covered with paintings. There are 14 different sections, separated all the same, and there was a few rules for these painters to make these arrangements. The idea is that we are in the end of the 19th century when the director of the Fine Art Academy is asked to supervise this project. So he's asking different painters who are in the middle of their career, who are not too young, so they have a little bit of experience, but not too old. So also they will be able to complete their task to create here a big fresco of our French history, but mixing both the kings and also religious elements, such as the story of Sainte-Genevieve, which we are seeing here. So you can see it first on a single, but I think that the best would be moving just a little bit further.
All right. So this fresco is just one, but divided into 4 panels.
Exactly. One panel is independent, and then you have 3 different panels that are coming together for a full story in between the columns. And so this one is one of the major. It was made by Puvis de Chavannes, who is one of the very best painters from this period of time. And you can see really young. She's a kid. She's living where she grew up in Nanterre. So I won't say you might recognize Nanterre here because it has changed a lot since the 5th century. But still, you can really see this young girl. She's wearing a white dress in the painting, and she's welcomed here by Saint-Germain, and Saint-Loup who are coming from Paris to see her on their trip, to see this young lady who's really devoted so much that everyone knows her.
Wonderful. This is incredible, and I think Puvis de Chavannes became also one of the prominent director of the fine arts in Paris.
He was very important. He became one of the huge and major characters of the French Fine Art Academy.
Yes, and are the pieces here? I think, how many are them?
There are 14 different
14?
pieces.
Okay, are they mostly from him, or?
There are a few by this painter, but they are every in a different style, which is also tricky because they had all to be kind of harmonious, and each painter decided to apply his little own colors or way of painting.
That's
so there are
interesting.
differences.
All right, should we look at another one?
Sure. We can move a little bit around.
All right, everyone. So if you have any questions on the paintings, on Puvis de Chavannes, let us know. I love art, and the size of this fresco. We were talking about, so when you talk about the fresco, they're supposed to be painting down the walls, but I think these ones have another particularity, right?
Yes, exactly. When we talk usually about frescoes, we mean into the plaster, the wet plaster.
Right.
But here we're going to see just across that we call frescoes, but they are not. These were made on canvas in the different studios, and they have been stuck then on the wall.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine the type of studios they must have to be able to paint, this size of paintings?
Yes.
Wow.
They had also many assistants to help them. But if we get closer to this one, another one by Puvis de Chavannes, maybe you can see it from here, that this is really made on canvas. So you can feel the fabric,
right,
and also the brush strokes on top, which makes it really different. But on the end of this one, sorry. Hard, really.
This is a beautiful piece.
Yes. What do you think about the colors?
Well, the blue is so, I don't know, it's really deep. It's there is some melancholy, I don't know.
There's a lot of blue, yes, exactly. Here, because this is again depicting Sainte-Genevieve, but at an older age.
All right.
And it's at night, that's why you can see really the moon on top. And she is now in Paris. So she moved from Nanterre to Paris, and she's taking care, looking after Parisians, as she is the saint protecting us. But also coming again on that story of blue that you have seen, it inspired Picasso. Nonetheless, Picasso, imagine, with his blue period. Right. So this feeling of sort of sadness or melancholy, that's also already here.
That is
but
wonderful.
Then if you look across, that's very different. Yes, we can go. Maybe to show you another painter who's another very great painter. There is something interesting about the differences made to be all harmonious. But look at the differences. This has nothing to do with what we have seen before. This is again depicting but the very last part of the life of Sainte-Genevieve. She's here dying. We can see that the drawing is very different. The colors are very different too.
Yeah.
Only thing is that, well, it looks very red first, but also the people, look at them all around Sainte-Genevieve. They are different.
They are.
They look rough. And that's because Sainte-Genevieve is the saint protecting us, Parisians, who we are. So obviously, all of these people represented, all of the audience all around, they are also real people. Laurence decided that he would create something a little bit less religious, but including real people from mostly fishermen, cities, or part of France.
This is a really overwhelming painting. I think it has such a strong message. What do you think?
It is.
I like both styles, but it is true that this has some, power to it.
So then after seeing all of these paintings, there are many more to see, but usually I like coming back to the center.
Okay, let's go.
We are in the heart of the church.
This is the heart.
Should be.
Yes.
But there's something very different. Can you see that it doesn't look Pantheon? But still, there are these few distances between religion and also non-religious aspects. So what you can see is that on top we have a mosaic with a Byzantine style. This background, which is golden, and it's depicting in the center Jesus Christ. But from left to right, you can also recognize all of these women. We're talking a lot about women today.
Yes.
Not only because of Josephine Baker, but also Sainte-Genevieve. There's Joan of Arc on one side. And here you can see Joan of Arc first, then Sainte-Genevieve. And then on the right side, you have first the Angel of France, and then Paris, the city of Paris, with the boat. So now this would be a religious part. But if you look down, we have this tricky part. Where are we? That's the question.
Right.
We are in a place which is actually how we are French people. We are always torn in between different feelings, different emotions about religion, about our politics. So this really explains where we are.
Okay.
In between religion and national convention, which is this lady in the center. She has a sword, but she's not using it. And then on one side, all of the politicians that are honoring her. And in the other side, the soldiers ready to go to protect the convention, except that they are not really fighting yet. They could.
Yes. No, this is a really, I think, interesting, I want to say, paradox. And I just think that, so this is, she represents the Marianne, right?
Sort of. It's not really Marianne, but it's related. The National Convention is more representing the French Republic. This one is honoring the First Republic. So the one coming right after the French Revolution.
Wonderful.
Do you want to go to the center?
Should we? So, everyone, let me know if you have more questions. And here we have every single area is so fascinating. Where are we now?
So we are right under the dome. That dome that you can see is actually not the one that we saw from the outside, because there are many domes, one inside the other,
How
like
many?
Russian dolls, 3 different domes. So first, inside the dome, there's a painting that is very difficult to see because it's so far, and it was painted by Gros at the beginning, asked by Napoleon. So he was depicted, but later on, as came Louis XVIII, he decided to replace Napoleon by his own face and the face of the Empress by his niece, the Duchesse d'Angoulême. And also but when you come here, you're going to see it, you have to be here to see it. In the white square, instead of Code Civil, there's another word now. It says charte. So there were a few modifications. Now, when you look at this place, you can see that there are a few more decorations that are painted. There's different, what we call pendentifs, like a necklace.
Yes, pendentif.
On the different sides of the dome represent different ideas that are supposed to be timeless, but also non-religious, or that could fit for everyone. There are 2 different ones that I found really interesting. The first one is Justice, the one just across, where you can see in the smoke behind this building, the Pantheon.
Oh, it is. We can see its shape. Yeah.
Yes. And then the other. This means that we are in a place where we should all be together and consider the full history of France, no matter our differences and also our conflicts in between the kings, the different republics that we had, but also maybe science in the center.
True. So what are we looking at here?
We are looking at Foucault's pendulum. There is another one in the Musée des Arts et Métiers in Paris, but is less impressive than this one.
This is very impressive.
And first, because of, obviously,
the marble.
The marble, yes. But also because of the length that we have here with this pendulum, how high it is. And it's a scientific demonstration on how Earth is turning on itself. So basically, the idea is that when you drop the pendulum on one axis, because Earth is turning around, the pendulum doesn't remain in the same axis. So that's what the different numbers are for.
It's really interesting.
So on our latitude, it's lasting a little bit more than a day to make the full tour.
And was this part of the original architecture?
No, not at all. Actually, well, first, the demonstration of Foucault was made in another place, and also it wasn't something really new, as 2 centuries before in Italy, the same demonstration had been led by another scientist. But we decided to bring this pendulum actually a few decades ago, and just to preserve this idea of a mix in between science, in between the non-religious and also the religious place. What is interesting is that I find usually that this part that is the big nave on top, on the upper floor, is maybe less religious in our feeling than the crypt.
Right. I think too. So should we actually now take our visitors to the crypts?
Sure, sure.
All right. So we're going to comment this video of the crypt just because we're not able to go live. We're gonna maybe get started on the video. So this is the entrance to the crypt, right here.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the crypt.
Sure. So it's really a necropole. The idea is to present in a different way all of the great men of our homeland. So that's what it says outside. You might have seen the motto, which is saying, "To the great men, our homeland is grateful." So many people might be asking, are those men really, or are those including female?
Right.
Now we include men and female, but before Josephine Baker, there were only 5. So imagine, this was really dedicated to men, but we are in the to Sainte-Genevieve, and what I've just seen at first is the entrance, which is really explaining us the idea comes from the century of the Enlightenment, so Voltaire and Rousseau.
Yes.
But then when you enter, you can really see that there are many people that we don't know about. 41 exactly, that were coming here from the French Empire, the elite of that French Empire. And again, when you continue with your visit, with your tour here under, you can start recognizing a few of the names. The first one who came here in 1885, that's really Victor Hugo, writer of Les Misérables.
Yes.
But maybe that the most interesting part is that the selection that was made on who comes inside the Pantheon can be a little bit maybe weird. Who decides of who is going to be here in the Pantheon? First, the main idea might be that the president is the one asking. So it's a choice that is led by politics. And then it has to be someone born in France and someone very important, someone who makes something for France. So there are many different guests. You can see here on those pictures, you have just seen the tomb of the architect Soufflot, so he's part also of the building. Then you can enter in the different rooms where it's all divided by theme. So all the writers are together, all of the scientists. The first woman to enter in the Pantheon for her own work was Marie Curie in 1995.
Wonderful.
So, of course, when you come to see here the different people that are buried, there is this question, who can be here? And there is a lot of room available for many more guests.
All right, it's good to know. So the question is it still very secretive? Like, how about the decision? Is it still something that's dedicated only to the president? or is there some sort of commission?
There are suggestions made to the president, then he chooses, but the family has a right after. They can agree or not. So that's what's making the process so long.
So in the case of Josephine Baker, what makes her entry in the Pantheon so special?
So for many people, at first, it had to be another woman just to balance a little bit, as we only had 5 female bodies inside. But so she entered because of her investment into World War II. But really, what I think is important is that she is the first non-French native to enter here.
Right.
Also, she is female. She is black.
Yes.
And she is also an artist.
An artist.
The first artist, except from the writers, to enter here in the Pantheon.
Yes, because her art is, through music, and she's also a dancer. That's another...
A performer.
A performer, true. So how was that received here in France at first?
Well, in between my surrounding, very well. But I think that's because it's mostly linked to art. So we were happy actually to receive her.
Yeah, I felt the same. I thought this was really, really a great image, a great message for France, for the world, to have Josephine join the Panthéon. The greats, having her among the most revered French historical figure. I thought that was a really a wonderful message of humanity.
I think so too. Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to add to everyone. Well, what do you think of Josephine Baker joining the Panthéon, and or have you visited it since she's been admitted, or are you planning on coming and visiting her? So let me know about your comments or your questions in the comments. I also want to add that unfortunately we're not able to reach Brian. Wasn't able to join us, Brian Bouillon-Baker, but we really appreciate that he we had made the connection with him, and I'm sure he would have loved to share more about his mother, and maybe we can get another interview just with him. So I will keep you posted on that. But for you to know, there will be an exhibit about Josephine Baker, I think, starting next year. Sorry, I don't remember the exact date, but I think it's December 27th to February 13th. I hope I'm right. But yes, you will have this exhibit in the gates of the Panthéon, and I mean, this is a great compliment to being able to visit the place and the monument and Josephine's remains, which are not actually her remains. What is it actually? What happened?
So you have many options when you want to celebrate someone here. You can either bring the body, the remainings, if you have them, if the family agrees, or you can also, there are a few plaques here, commemorative plaques, just with the name, or sometimes the ashes also. So it doesn't really matter to have the actual body, but more to celebrate those people who are important for us and for our French history, which is both religious and also non-religious.
Right. Oh, right. And so in addition to this exhibit, when coming to visit the Panthéon, you have right now another exhibit available at the moment. I think it will be available until the end of next month. It's Combat Capital, so I'm inviting you to join us here at the Panthéon. There are beyond every corner is so interesting. I don't know what you all think about it. I hope you enjoyed our time. But Paloma was a wonderful lecturer. She has such a wealth of knowledge. And please, I will put in the comment of her contact if you'd like to join us. Oh, I think Brian has been able to reconnect. Bonjour, Monsieur. Bonjour, Monsieur Bouillon Baker. I think I'm missing the sound on his side.
Attends.
Ah, voilà, je pense que je vous entends.
Là. Ok, attends. C'est bon?
Vous m'entendez?
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Écoutez, bonjour enfin. Il y a eu des petits problèmes. Petits problèmes technologiques, mais c'est pas grave.
No worries. So we are here with our friends from the US and all over the world. And I want to thank you for your time and being with us here for this special live dedicated to your mother, Josephine Baker.
Yes, it's for the family and for myself. It's joy, it's emotion, and it's pride.
I can imagine. So
yes, because now the memory of my mother will be eternal in France, but also in Europe or all over the USA, of course, and all over the world.
Yes, it is. In the US, it was wonderful to see all of the celebration. She was honored. I'm sure you saw on the Empire State Building, and in many other countries.
Yes, and she will be. She was honored in New York City, and she will be honored next year on the 3rd of June, which is his birthday date.
Oh, June 3rd. Wonderful.
In St. Louis, Missouri, and I will be there with a lot of artists, painters who are going to give a big painting exhibition in all over the city, on the walls of the buildings. So very big paintings, which will stay. We will stay for years, and we will remind in let's say native city. We will stay for her memory.
Wonderful. And what do you think your mother would say or would think about this event?
Well, she would be very proud and very moved, and she will think not only about her, but about all the future generations, because she will stay as an example of universal brotherhood.
That's right. She has done so much, and I think this is a great way for friends to give back to her and the world.
Yes, not only France, but there was a lot of journalists from abroad, from all over Europe, from Russia, from USA, from Canada, from Israel, from Japan, from South America, Brazil, Argentina. They all say it's an event it's a world event. It's not only a French event because Josephine Baker is like a universal mother, which is almost the title of my book, which is titled Josephine Baker, the Universal.
Oh, wonderful. I'll make sure to get myself a copy and learn more. So, when growing up, did you know about the power and the strength of your mother? Did you know all of this?
No, because as we were kids first and then adolescent, my mother first did never spoke about her past and never spoke really very much about her engagement because she was thinking we were too young for that. The first time she decided to take us in the USA for an event important was for the funeral of Bob Kennedy in Washington, and then there was in New York City a tribute to Bob Kennedy in the big church of Saint Patrick, and so at this time she thought that we were enough enough tall, enough in age to understand.
Wonderful. Yes, I think even myself, I'm discovering more. There's so much coverage about her life now that all of us around the world are only getting to know now. This is she's really a model for a woman like me, growing up in this modern age. I think it's she is really a symbol of the modern women.
Yes, because she was already when she arrived in Paris in 1925 during the Roaring Twenties, she became very quickly a famous artist, and she was a liberate woman, a free woman. Now she was she was she was thinking really about universal brotherhood when there was a Second World War. Before that, when before the war, she was living a life of young artist. Then, during and after the war, she was thinking about all those problems of racism, and then she was thinking as a not only as a woman but as a human being. So she was thinking about a better world for women and men because she was thinking globally, globally about humanity, about children, and about how to stop the violence, the hate, and the war in all over the world.
Yes. And I think I've heard stories about. Can you tell us actually stories about how she worked with the resistance during the war? Do you have some anecdote? Because I feel so grateful about her and how she helped end this war.
Mm. First of all, she has hidden in her castle resistant, all kind of resistant, even a lot of communist resistant. And even if she was Gaullist, she was saying we were after that, after a while, she was saying we were all brothers of war with the communists and the Gaullists against the Nazis. Then she has hidden uh, Jewish people to save them and to give them papers to go through our castle to Portugal and then to USA to be safe. Then she was hired by the secret French service to give information, secret information where hidden in musical papers, and she could go through different countries as a famous artist. And even at the control checkpoint, the policemen were more asking her to sign an autograph than to control her passport. So she has sung for the soldiers, and in North Africa and Egypt, she has been in contact with all the kings, vizier, caliph, people, important people, to convince them to help the Allies army and to give some money and even to uh, to have their army uh, close to the Allies.
That is so wonderful to see all her achievements, and this was not known by the world until, for me at least, until recently. It's really incredible achievements.
Yeah, as you say, a lot of people, the majority, didn't know about achievements. They only knew about artistical uh, fame and about our big family, the Rainbow Tribe. But they didn't know a lot. Now everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people in France, in Europe, and in the world have discovered that she was an exceptional human being, and even that not only resistant, but uh, she was convinced to make uh, a lot of speeches for stopping the war in Vietnam after a while, that her whole country had fired to make speech about in Israel and in Egypt to stop the war between Israel and the Arab countries, and she did that for a lot of other places in Africa, in South America. So now a lot of people discover that she was an heroine, in fact, for a human being and for her ideal. She was an idealist for universal brotherhood.
This is really exceptional, as you said, and I want to thank you so much for your time, Brian, Mr. Bouillon Baker. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing a piece of your history, and your mother's. This is really such a privilege for us to be able to have you witness as a sharing with us all of this. And I want to congratulate you and your family and your mother as well, on behalf of all our listeners, viewers. Thank you so much for your time. And I will make sure to share with everyone the name of your book, which I'm looking forward to read as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you for the memory of my mother. In France, we say it's for the good cause. C'est pour la bonne cause.
Indeed.
And well, I remind you, the title of my book is it's Josephine Baker, The Universal.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a nice rainbow future, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Best wishes and Happy New Year.
Merry Rainbow Christmas and New Year for all of you.
Thank you. So this concludes our live today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this tour, and I want to wish, as Mr. Baker just mentioned, a very rainbow holiday and a happy new year. We will see you in the new year with new episode of French Heritage Series and Explore France Live. We'll take you on new adventures in France. Thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to seeing you in the new year. Au revoir.